Roll call, please.
Mrs. Stipp?
Present.
Mr. Kennedy?
Here.
Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Here.
Mrs. Lynn? Here. Mrs. Brown O'Meara? Here. Dr. Huntington? Here. Mr. Coffey?
Here.
We will now have the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Right face, post, place, colors, present, arms.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, arms. Outward, face, forward, march.
Thank you, and please be seated. On behalf of the Board of Education, I would like to welcome all of you to our in-person and those watching live stream. We welcome you to our school board meeting. At this time, members of the public may make comments to the Board of Education on any item listed on the agenda. Please note, this board respects and values the information delivered to us, but at this time, we cannot engage in or have a dialogue with you. Your comments should be directed to the Board of Education, and all in attendance must conduct themselves with respect and civility towards others. Please keep all comments up to 3 minutes. Thank you. Ms. Rico, please call the name of the first individual wishing to address this board.
Sure, Alicia Morales. The microphone is to your left.
Let me clarify that these comments at the beginning of the meeting must be on items on our agenda.
Yeah. Hello? Hello? It's on.
It is on?
Yep. Can you all hear me? Okay, thank you. Buenas noches. An agenda item we have today is payroll, and I have 3 minutes to say what I want to say, but before anything, I'm going to translate also. Quiero que no se vayan, por favor, que se queden hasta el final de esta reunión, todos los padres, para que estén bien informados de lo que está pasando Capital Local. I want all parents to stay until the end of the meeting and not just when their child goes to work, so they understand the issues at hand that are local issues that are affecting our local community. Our AFC, our union people need the board to stand up and do what's right and pay them a living wage. Los miembros de la unión del sindicato de AFT necesitan que la mesa directiva, los cuales eligieron, que hagan lo correcto y que les den un aumento en su salario a estas personas que trabajan bien duro, un aumento honorable. With these staff members, they work courageously. With the students during COVID and post-COVID, they continue to come in and support students and staff alike, locally with the fatigue and burnout. They are the backbone to the system. When candidates look for work, they create and maintain a positive learning environment. They create a place where they can go work, a positive learning environment. To have the superintendent laugh at these folks several times is egregious. That we cannot allow. I expect the board that was elected by the union, by the voters, to address these concerns. You cannot have any professional staff laughing at the teachers union when they're there, they've done their job, they perform before COVID, during COVID, after COVID, they show up to work, they've been here for 20 plus years. They deserve respect, they deserve a living wage. No es justo que el superintendente se ría de las gentes cuando vienen su sindicato a tener un aumento de su salario, cuando han trabajado duro todos los años antes de COVID, durante COVID, después de COVID, y ahora se burlan de ellos. Eso es injusto. No pueden permitir la mesa directiva que una persona que ellos emplean, que está en palanca de arriba, que se burle de las personas que nos piden un aumento de su salario justo. Thank you very much. Are you ready?
Yes, Mr. Nino Cislano.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Members of this prestigious board, I'm here to thank you for doing your job. And as a concerned citizen and a veteran, I'm just curious about their agenda, action item F. As it pertains to hiring law firm disputes, property taxes over $100,000 or less or more, if I have it right. Because I read the readout, it wasn't said. Maybe I'm on the wrong part.
That's correct.
It's about hiring law firm interview.
That's correct.
Okay. One, fantastic. I would just like you to make more transparency on the issue as to not give too many broad powers to a law firm hired on the taxpayer money to execute certain duties, whether they be in the form of property taxes, which pay for the school, wonderful, or would they be compelled to be used elsewhere in the case of lawfare to suppress or stifle certain things that are going to come in the geopolitical landscape, such as we have issues overseas that might cause certain individuals to come here in a way that may not be helpful. So that's just my concern, is that we give out some transparency of who this law firm is, what they're being paid, what they're really going to do if they stick to that. So with that, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
May I have a motion for consent agenda?
So,
Mrs. Chair, can I ask that, the Hopewell bill and the Heinz, bill be pulled and voted on separately?
right, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda minus, well, and the Heinz.
Questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Guerrero Romero, Dr. Huntington,
Yeah.
Mr. Coffey, Mrs. Stipp,
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mr. Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn.
Motion to approve the remainder of the consent agenda.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lynn, Mrs. Guerrero Romero, Dr. Huntington, Mr. Coffey, Mrs. Stipp,
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Now we'll go to line item 6, recognition and awards.
Yes, thank you everyone for coming out tonight. This is one of our favorite evenings. One of the reasons we have to move to the campuses because there's not enough room at the admin center to celebrate all the students who are being recognized tonight. So if our principals could come to the podium, they are going to begin the recognition this evening.
Good evening and welcome, everyone. My name is Shed Hallahan. I have the honor of serving as principal at Joliet Central. Tonight, Ms. Parker and I are recognizing several students who achieved outstanding work last spring on advanced placement exams. The different recognitions are up here on the screen, as you can see. The way we're going to do this is all of the students who are invited here tonight received AP achievement, meaning they scored either a 4 or a 5 on one or more tests last year. Several other students also received various scholar honors. So we're going to read the students' names one at a time alphabetically, starting with the central campus. And then if the student whose name I'm reading or Ms. Parker is reading also received scholar recognition, we'll add that to the end after we read their name. Okay? Students, when we read your name, we ask that you come up onto the stage, receive a certificate from the members of the board, and you can just make your way back to the other side, back to your seats. Okay? We are going to read all of the names, even though we know not everyone can be with us tonight, because we're going to recognize all the students. So again, thank you all. And also, because of the number of students here and not knowing if everyone is here, students will receive your certificates at school later this week. But we still want you to come up so that you can be recognized and congratulated by the board. So starting with the central campus, Andy Aguirre, Maria Amaya Carmona, Felix Arcan, Citlali Arriaga, Mateo Aguelo, Angela Eivor, Sophia Baltz. Mateo is an AP Scholar with honor, and Angela Eivor is an AP Scholar.
Principal Callahan, I just want to be clear because I think some of our students are hesitating. You come on up if your name's been called or when it's called, okay?
Thank you. Yeah, you can come up over here. Sophia Baltz, AP Scholar with distinction. Yasmin Banuelos, Abril Barrientos, Daniel Bautista, Layla Boys, Aaron Berman, Diego Crespo, Lanaya Daniels, Camille Darley, Evelyn Davalos, Amber Davis, Karen Esquiaves, James Fiegel, Chatier Figueroa, Carly Frosto, Micah Gabriel. Micah is also an AP scholar. Ernesto Galmici, Evan Gonzalez, Alexis Gonzalez, Jose Gonzalez, Andy Granados. Andy is also an AP scholar. Malcolm Green, Mariah Guzman Martinez, Aiden Hadley, Maya Hernandez, Miriam Hernandez, Eric Isai Yoloma, Angelina Juarez, Demetrius Corditis, Samuel Lizarazo, Guadalupe Lozano, Evelyn Agana, Alina Mikowski, Shinashi Marquez, Jorge Martin. Jorge is also an AP scholar. Denise Martinez. Denise is an AP scholar. Santiago Martinez. Heather Mantenaire. Heather is an AP scholar with honor. Giovanni Medina. Giovanni is an AP scholar. Delaney Moran. Tyler Morgan. Tyler is an AP scholar. Hannah Ensa. Itzel Nunez. Lori O'Hara. Alexandra O'Malley. April Ortiz. Jose Ortiz. Giselle Ramos Martinez. Mariana Reyes. Evelyn Rodriguez. Rosa Saenz. Anahi Sanchez. Abigail Schreiner. Paul Slick. Emily Smith. Emily is an AP scholar. Leo Smith. Kayla Stallings. Ruby Stanfield. Nathan Talon. Tate Thomas. Tate is an AP scholar. Dayanara Turano. Kevin Valente. Evelyn Ventura. Ella Wolcott. And Chelsea Zaragoza. Congratulations to all the Central students.
It's on. Can you hear me? Congratulations to all of you, my students who have earned AP Achievement, AP Scholar with Honors, and AP Scholar with Distinction. Mia Edge, Sena Ahmad, Galilea Alcar Perez, Elizabeth Ortega, Sydney Barlow, Daniel Bartista, Samantha Batista, Olivia Baxter, Logan Benson, Connor Bergen, Abigail Blevins, Justin Ortega, who is also an AP scholar, Camden Brent, Taylor Krasinski, who is also an AP scholar, Aaron Bresno Jr., Mariah Brooks, who is also an AP scholar, Chloe Robert, Christina Chow, Finn Chelino, who is an AP scholar with honor, Brandon Christensen, Jessica, who is an AP scholar, Jessica Cole, Jillian Collier, who is an AP scholar, Avery Cooper, Xavier Daniel, Brianna Grace DeLeon, who is also an AP scholar, Charlotte Dean, Jessica Del Toro, Nicholas Del Paulo, who is also an AP scholar, Emily Diaz, Giselle Diaz, who is also an AP scholar, Lana Duong Champion, who is also an AP scholar, Jason Duong, who is also an AP scholar, Amanda Enriquez, John Ferret, Jasmine Flores Robles, Cameron Forber, Lino Guandara, Diego Carduno, James Gibson, Joshua Gonzalez, Lena Giovanni, Joseph Grasser, Taylor Greenwood, Sebastian Guajardo, Lauren Harms, who is also an AP scholar with honor, Marcos Hernandez, Alexander Orr, Madeline Hobbs, who is also an AP scholar, Reed Hogan, who is an AP scholar with distinction, Elizabeth Herta, Jim Eber, Gianna Aramillo, Sophia Aramillo, who is an AP scholar, Alyssa Jimenez, who is an AP scholar with distinction, Fernando Jimenez, Robert Ocher, Jaden Jumper, Olivia King, Benjamin Klein, who is an AP scholar with distinction, Brianna Klovan, Trevor Coach, Cara Kozniksy, Angelita Lansmanka, Elizabeth Lay, Adrienne Litz, Julian Lopez, Vincent Lucas, who is an AP scholar with honors, Annabella Martinez, an AP scholar, Dalia Martinez, Julia Martinez, an AP scholar, Renzo Mayfield, and Brianna McDonough, Adriana Mendez, Mackenzie Mertes, Madison Moser, Janae Muhammad, Aiden Montgomery, Isabella Nelson, who's an AP scholar with honors, Evan Newman, Sanaya Newman, who is an AP scholar with honor, David Nugent, who is an AP scholar with honor, Jenna Nuffel, Ava Offerman, Lucille Offerman, who is an AP scholar with honor, Amy Olson, Cameron Ann Olson, who is an AP scholar, Micah Umdiko, Grace Orr, Alexa Palacio, Matthew Palacios, who is also an AP scholar, Kenya Patel, Nancy Patel, Maria Patino, Catherine Pearson, Tommy Pam, Sydney Piazza, Jacobs Polchek, Thomas Polchek, Harris Kostelet, who is an AP scholar, Elena Kotaki, Caleb Price, Kelsey Rainey, Paige Grace, who is an AP scholar with honor, Yahara Ramirez, Sierra Rapata, Kylie Rempel, Michaela Rhymes, Gavin Ringhofer, who is an AP scholar with honor, Dylan Ringhofer, Emma Roberts, Kevin Roberts, Gavin Rodriguez, who's an AP with honors, Kiara Rodriguez, an AP scholar, Marco Rodriguez, Aaron Ross, AP scholar, Daniel Sanchez, Marco Sanchez Cervantes, who is an AP scholar with honor, Joyce, Jordan Shields, Georgia Smith, Ariel Smith, Aaron Springies, AP scholar, Caleb Sudbury, Peyton Sutter, who is an AP scholar with honor, Elise Taven, Stephen Tate, Noah, who is an AP scholar, Noah Tarver, Robert Tarver, Jalen Torres, Dylan Trainer, Becky Train, Kevin Trisner, Ava Tudor, who is an AP scholar, Andrea Unzinski, Alexandria Vargas, Rodney Burnham, who is an AP scholar with distinction, Sarah Barnhart, Callaway Walsh, Zoe Walsh, Zachary Warren, Aaron Winky, AP Scholar with Honor, Emily Dillon, Bethany Yonchik, Henry Young, Elijah Zamora, AP Scholar, Seth Saceda, and Allison Zuniga, who is an AP Scholar. Congratulations.
The board is going to take a short break to congratulate students and parents.
Congratulations. Well done, well done. Very good.
Daniel.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
There's a broadcast going on.
Congratulations. You must be proud. Yes. Doing awesome.
Yeah. You can put it over there. Amir, what is it?
Congratulations. Thanks for coming out. Congratulations. The tests aren't easy. They will tomorrow. They'll get them this week because there's so many kids to pass them out to. We'll be shuffling around, so they'll get them delivered. So what test did you take? Okay. Did you get what did you get? Wow, that's awesome. What are you taking this year? Okay, awesome. Well, congratulations.
I'm
Okay. What did you take last year?
Okay,
How did you both of them did you
I think we got a 4 on and a 5 on.
Congratulations. I would have taken it anyway, but it's not easy to get 4s and 5s, so that's awesome. Congratulations. You should be really proud of yourself. So yes, the principal's gonna get you your certificate. And moms and dads be proud too. Take it.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for coming out. They got 5. Yeah. No, they were freshmen, so they're sophomores. Congratulations.
My mom told me to shake your hand. She remembers you.
Congratulations. I'm sorry, Miss Ray. Enjoy your night.
Thank you. Good job, see you guys later. Congratulations.
Thank you for all your help, IT.
We'll start in 30 seconds.
Okay.
We will now resume our agenda. Action item number 7, superintendent reports.
Thank you. We do not have any correspondence or legislative reports tonight. Our topic tonight is advanced placement presentation, which obviously is matches well with all the recognition needed tonight. So Mr. Paul Oswald, who's our curriculum director for social science, world language, and EL program, will present the data from last year.
Hey, good evening. Can we hear me? Okay. First, I'd like to congratulate the students that were here, and all of our students who did fantastic on their AP exams this year. It's a testament to the hard work they put into the test. It is no easy task to get a 3, 4, or 5 on the AP exam. So I just want to congratulate them again. The other congratulations and recognition I would like to give our AP teachers, who do a fantastic job of getting all the students prepared for the AP exam. We have an excellent staff. They do a wonderful job. So I'd be remiss if I didn't bring them to the attention to them. With that, this works.
Good.
It's okay. So with the AP program, we have 3 kind of tenets here that we use as kind of the what we focus on within the AP program. That is access, support, and impact. So as we go through this, we'll hit the access component, the support program, and then the impact program. First part is access, and what we like to say within the AP program is access to opportunity. So we want to make sure that our students they have the opportunity to take an AP exam. We do not have any gatekeepers who are keeping kids away from taking an AP course. Kids wanted to participate, we want to make sure that they have access to these courses. As you can see, we have a plethora of courses that we offer at Joliet Township High School. These are running at, for the most part, they are running at both campuses, ranging from the couple that we have at grade 9 all the way through the myriad of options that we have the junior and senior year. Those that are in the orange color there are ones that they are taking primarily during that grade. in grade, they can take those in different options, whether it's sophomore, junior, or senior year. So the big part big takeaway there is we want our kids to at least take one class, one AP course by the time they graduate high school. And we want our kids to be able to take a course that's part of their path, their career path. So if they have a propensity for taking math or science, we want them to be in a math or science AP course by the time they graduate. Starting at the freshman year, their first entry into AP, we have two offerings. Most of our kids in the social studies take AP Human Geography. We're very successful in running that program. But we also have AP Computer Science that also runs district-wide. In terms of AP Computer Science principals, what we are noticing though is a little bit of a dip in terms of enrollment for the 23-24 school year. But in the flip side, with Human Geography, we're seeing an increase of over 40 students from last year. So we are seeing a rise in the amount of students who are taking the AP course for the very first time in their freshman year. Starting this year, we're looking at, we are offering our pre-AP English 1, as well as our pre-AP World History Geography courses. Those are for 9th grade, and those are really preparing your kids for the eventuality that taking either an honors or AP course throughout their high school career. Going into next year for grade 10, they will also be exposed to pre-AP English 2. And hopefully that by the time they get to that grade 11, grade 12, they'll be able to take at least one AP course. The second part is how do we support both students and staff within the AP program. For students and staff, we see a handful of items here that we use throughout the year. We have after-school test prep that occurs throughout the year. We see a lot of that happening within the springtime. We do have a lot of resources provided by the AP grant, of which we are recipients each year for the past probably decade, I'd say, by now. So that money is used to help with supplemental resources, but it also provides staff with the opportunity to have after-school test prep, as well as hours for ongoing collaboration throughout the school year. We offer practice tests in the springtime for most of our classes. We have professional development provided by the College Board that happens primarily in the summertime. We do have some that is offered during the school year. We do have an Avid advisory for those new to AP Honors. That is at the freshman level this year. We have about 60 kids at each campus participating in that. And those are going to be more academic skills that are being honed during that time. And lastly, we have an AP Data Summit where we come together as a group. This is in July when we get all of our test results. We come together and look at the results. We look at ways in which we're going to use those results and the information to better our courses going into this school year. Like I said, going into this year, we're starting pre-AP English 1 and pre-AP World History Geography. It's going very well so far. We're looking at those kids that are freshmen in social studies are taking either the pre-AP or they're taking AP Human Geography. And then for pre-AP English 1, they also have the pre-AP English 1 honors offering as well. We feel that the pre-AP courses are, in fact, providing a solid foundation of skills both in English and social science that will hopefully lead to future AP success. Lastly, we have pre-AP teacher recommendations and AP potential to identify students who might benefit from taking AP courses during their high school career. So like I said, we'd like to have our students take at least one AP course throughout their academic career. We hope that by going through pre-AP and then also using AP potential along other ways of identifying students to participate in that. Speaking of pre-AP, for those of you who are new to what pre-AP is, we do assess our students. The College Board actually assesses them with called learning checkpoints. There are about 2 learning checkpoints per unit or 4 units. The reason why I bring this up is that the questions themselves are very higher order thinking questions. They're not just rote memorization or trivia-based questions. They are based on a lot of skills that are associated with social science and with English. So for example, here we have a breakdown of 2 different maps, and then there's 2 to 3 questions that are attached to each of these stimuli. So far, we're looking at after the first learning checkpoint, which was taken around 3 weeks ago. I think we're pretty much at checkpoint 2 for social studies. Our results are very promising. So these are questions, types of questions that our students have never seen before. And so when we're looking at the results, further results, we're seeing that our 53% is the overall average that our students are getting district-wide. That is in social studies, and then in English it's 55%. But notice that the dark colored are those students who are achieving success right away, and then that light green are those who are approaching that level. So we are seeing a lot of our students who are taking to this. We're seeing that our staff are also taking to teaching greatly, and we hope then that this will, in fact, turn into results for the program and for our students.
Can I just add to this? They go into health, this is an online test, and students and teachers have never seen this checkpoint before. So it's almost like you're teaching a curriculum. This is a new curriculum, challenging our students with the level of rigor that the college board is offering, and then they go in and take this test. So it's almost like a blind quiz that they go in, they've never seen before, and this is just something to celebrate. We can have conversations about this last year about just adding that level of access and rigor for all students, and it shows that our students can.
And this is electronic, correct? Which I think is also important to note that now the SAT is also electronic this year. And so more electronic tests and practice for those types of tests should hopefully help them prepare for more tests like that.
In the course itself, just talking about for social studies on my end, their assessment at the end of each unit is basically starting to create a DBQ and then writing a DBQ by the time of the third or the fourth unit second semester. So it is work that we do in our U.S. history classes junior year that they're now doing at the freshman level.
Mr. Can you let us know what a DBQ is?
A DBQ is a document-based question where you're going to take anywhere from 5 to 9 different resources, and putting that together. You're synthesizing the documents to basically have a thesis and an argument, and then how are you supporting it with evidence. So it's very high level thinking, very high level analysis that is going on throughout the social studies that I can speak of, but I know in the English courses, a lot of the work that they're doing freshman year is then aligned with what they're doing sophomore, junior, and senior year in a lot of those AP courses. So very high level stuff that our kids are doing a fantastic job with it. All right, the next part is the impact. So this is our data from last year in the spring. It's really good. Like, it really is. I'm very giddy when I get the results in July. When they first come out, I want to make sure that I see it right away. I was pleasantly surprised with how our kids did because they just knocked it out of the park. And so, just to put this into perspective, for those of you who are unaware about what AP is in terms of the score stick, is I'll bring up like a 3 or higher. The AP assessments are they're based on a scale of 1 through 5. And a 3 is basically the equivalent of passing an AP course. And a lot of those 3s then mean that they'll be able to get college credit at a Illinois university or college, but it does transfer to a lot of other universities outside of Illinois. So I just wanted to put that out there in terms of context. But here are some things that I really like us to celebrate. So in the student participation, there's a couple of years that I want you to pay attention to when you're comparing this year, 2023. When you look at 2016 and 2017, that's when Joliet Township was the AP District of the Year. So I want you to keep that one. And then I also want you to look at the pre-pandemic of 2019. Then we look at, unfortunately, 2021, where we saw a huge dip. But I think what's really important is we are bouncing back significantly over the last 2 years. So we are seeing a lot of growth. We're seeing our numbers very similar to what we saw back in the time of the AP District of the Year Award, and then we're starting to slowly get to where we need to be, where we saw ourselves pre-pandemic. So we are seeing a really good bounce back from the pandemic, which is awesome to see. So the other part to that is we're seeing a lot of participation at the Joliet Central Campus, which is awesome. And then we're starting to see that number narrow from 600 to 400, but we're starting to see that getting a little closer, which is what we want to see. In terms of student demographics, we are seeing some trends that we are noticing here. We've seen this quite a bit, but something that I want you to understand, and you'll see this later on in the presentation, when we look at the number of, part of our challenge is really to make sure that our AP student percentage is reflective of our overall demographic at the buildings and at the district. Okay, so we know that part of our challenge is how are we going to provide the access to our African American students. One thing though that this doesn't necessarily say, when we're looking at our current enrollment, so right now in 2023, we saw 89 students take the AP exam and participate in the AP program. Doing the math for current enrollment, I think we're at about 208 African American students who are participating in AP as of right now, which is a great number. We're seeing significant an uptick in that demographic, which is great. We know that we still have a lot of work to do to make sure that all of our students are represented within the AP program. Our score growth, so these are the kids who received a 3, 4, or a 5 on at least one AP exam. We saw in 2023, 574 students did achieve that mark, which is fantastic, which means that they will probably receive college credit, which is awesome, and that's saving a lot of our families money. And I think when you look back at our numbers from 16 or 17, we're doing even better than when we were the AP district of the year. So this is definitely something to celebrate, and I think that we can celebrate it at both campuses. We're seeing a lot of our kids respond to the increased expectation and the increased rigor at both campuses, and they're doing really well. So again, that's a testament to our kids, and it's a testament to our faculty. District-wide, the total amount of exams, so out of all the exams, so kids take more than one exam, we count that all together. So 52% of the exams received a 3, 4, or 5. Again, awesome statistic there. When we go back to 2017 even, we're at 39%. We're not necessarily even going down that much in the amount of exams, but we are seeing our scores increase. So yes, 2020 was kind of an anomaly. So if we're looking at it, 52% is probably the best we've ever done. District percentage of total AP students with the scores of 3 or higher. So this means that our percentage at both campuses, we have students with 3, 4, or 5. So 50%, 57% of our students got at least a 3, 4, or 5 on an AP exam. The benchmark typically from the College Board is about 60%. So we are knocking on the door of getting to that 60% mark. Again, we are just beyond what we saw with 2017 as well as 2019.
Just, can I ask for clarification? When you say a 3+, should, that's a big word, should, does that mean it's based on the college is going to decide if we should get that, and like with a 4+ guarantee, right?
So it depends. It depends. So a 3, 4, or 5 typically, with the 3, within the state of Illinois for universities, it's guaranteed that they accept it as credit. It depends on what they will accept it for. So for some universities, they want to see like a 4 or 5 in certain areas. If you're a biology major, they want to see a 5 or a 4. But if some kids are getting, and that doesn't necessarily equate to, if you get a 3, you get 3 college credits. Sometimes we see our students who are doing really well in the AP Spanish language test, for example, if they're getting a 4 or 5, a lot of times they're getting 10 or 12 credits at a lot of our universities. So, as you're going to see, we're going to have a lot of kids in Spanish language here. So our enrollment for this year, we have gone up. We're over 182 from where we were last year, which is fantastic, and I don't see that number going down anytime soon, especially with the rise of our student population within pre-AP. So with that, and then with the additional support of our teachers recruiting kids to go into AP. We have a AP steering committee that meets every 2 months. So we're identifying students who should be part of AP. And then on the flip side, we also have started AP listening sessions. So we're trying to find ways in which we can reach our students from the perspective of students. So we're starting to get their perspective on how we can enlarge the program. just something real quick. If you notice the numbers for our Spanish lane, we're doing really well with that. And then AP Psychology, with 159 kids, that's one of our strongest programs that we have. And that's a lot of times sophomores are taking that. So just something to be aware of. So that is where we're at in terms of access, support, and impact. So like I said, we're doing a really good job. I think we're going to continue to do a really good job. And that's because of the support we have, I think, with our administrative staff, but also with our teachers, and the amount of work that our students are doing with the support of their families. Thank you.
Mr. Oswald, question. So you said just for the Spanish language, they could get 10 to 12 credits. On average, would you say, like, or what would be like the maximum amount of college credits for walk out high school? Just a ballpark.
Cumulatively?
Yeah.
It's not uncommon for our kids to, I mean, a lot of times we see 15, 18 credit hours. So basically they could be a second semester freshman, which means that they can either double major or they can travel abroad. You know, and so, and again, this is only one part. Like, we also see that our kids are not only doing well with AP, but also with dual credit, enrollment. When you put that all together, they're getting a lot. They're saving a ton of money.
Yeah.
And if they get the seal of biliteracy, that's another 3 credits that they can get. So, like, we're doing a really good job of getting kids where they're going to be second semester knocking on the door and possibly even getting a full year of credits just by taking advantage of it.
I'd just like to say thank you for all the kids that don't have to get student loan the first year.
Any other questions for Mr. Oswald? Thank you. And that concludes our superintendent reports.
Thank you. We'll go to line item 8, action items. Action item A, agreement between Joliet Township High School and ATC Healthcare Services LLC.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is this like a 1-year agreement and, our nurses be trained to be able to do the vision parent training moving forward?
We could certainly look into that. We had outside support with this in the past, and when that was no longer an option, this is the option we determined to go. I can look into the answer for your question in regards to nurses being trained.
Thank you.
Any additional questions, comments?
Just from the previous session, had anything to do with the facility?
No, but I think it's important to know we did add, had our one part-time nurse become full-time during COVID. So now we have 2 full-time nurses, and each campus does have a PEL. And so again, we would have to look and see, if that is something they can work into their schedule, but we can certainly ask.
And what is a PEL?
Professional educator license, and in order to, be part of IEP meetings and to be working with students in a specific capacity, you have to have a PEL.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Coffey?
Yes.
Mrs. Stick?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Mrs. Guerrero-Romero?
Yes.
Dr. Huntington?
Yeah.
Action item B, restoring community consultant partnership. May I have a motion, please?
I have a question.
Yes.
The scope of work for this, I noticed that it was for cohorts. And I know that we talked about, part of the strategic plan, this work equates to that. I'm just wondering how we're reporting results or something like the cohort model is that model for this guy.
I can go ahead and answer that. So, just to give context to, the cohort that Dr. Huntington is referencing, we are starting, a train-the-trainer model. So in the spring, we will be training 30 classroom teachers to become trainers in restorative practices. So they will be training their peers during the 24-25 school year. This is this is manageable. So we actually mapped this out. We would potentially train probably 75 classroom teachers at each campus next school year during our school improvement days. The cohort model is manageable in alignment with our school improvement days. So as a team, we understand that there is a focus next school year for our PLCs when they look within their content areas. But we also will have a small group focusing on relationships and restoring community. Did that answer? You're welcome. And I just wanted to point out too, this is aligned to our strategic plan, the trainer model. There is a line item in there, and this is funded. The funding is out of one of our grants.
Out of title grant, right?
Correct. And we've been working with this partner, I would say, for probably 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. Dr. Hampton, could you, just so for the funding source, could you describe, because a lot of these title grants, different grants are focused and they can only be a certain scope of what certain things are, so if you kind of touch on that.
The title grants are focused on local income, population, and needs of our students.
That's because of our socioeconomic status, that's why we have access to that, correct? Very possible.
And we're considered school-wide.
Any additional questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Dr. Huntington?
Yes.
Mr. Coffey?
Yes.
Mrs. Stipp?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Mrs. Guerrero Mayor?
Yeah.
Action item C, memorandum of understanding with Give Something Back and Joliet Township High School.
Second.
Any questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Guerrero Mayor?
Yeah.
Dr. Huntington?
Yes.
Mr. Coffey?
Yes.
Mrs. Stipp?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Action item D, memorandum of understanding with Will County Children's Advocacy Center and Joliet Township High School 204. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Questions, comments?
I have a question. Is this contract or memo of understanding this plan any of the current contracts that we have, like drivers or social security?
No, it does not. It would be in addition, to opportunities that we already have within the district.
And consent is required by parent and student. Wait,
Yes.
thank you.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Mrs. Guerrero Mayor?
Sure.
Dr. Huntington?
Yes.
Mr. Coffey?
Yes.
Mrs. Stipp?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Action item E, breakfast after the bell mandate, opt out. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Sorry.
Questions, comments?
I would make my comment. Again, whenever we can provide service to students, especially low-income students, we should try to give our students the most we can, whenever we can help them. That's all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Mrs. Guerrero Mayor?
No.
Dr. Huntington?
Yes.
Mr. Coffey?
Yes.
Mrs. Stipp?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
No.
Action item F, resolution authorizing intervention in various Will County Board of Review appeals. May I have a motion?
Second.
Questions, comments?
I have a question. Yes, I'm sorry, I'm going to go first. Okay. My question involves, is this for individual or homeowners, or are we looking at corporations and companies?
That's a good question. This actually for companies, when you start to talk about over $100,000 assessments, we would talk about different sources. Not only, that's what you will talk about.
Thank you.
The way I understand the, resolution authorizing, it's going to, property taxes. Right?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Brown O'Hare? Dr. Huntington?
Yes.
Mr. Coffey?
Yes.
Mrs. Stipp?
Yes. Action item G, school maintenance grant. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments?
Yes, the Illinois State Board of Education is the maintenance project grant program for the school year. So what we have in front of you, recommendation for the staff, so an action grant up to $50,000. We have identified a project that the campus, sort of grant, and also just for information, we received this grant last year and identified, this project's, grant from that grant. So,
Dr. Hampton, so the total project cost is 89, roughly 89, of which is cover 44, something like that.
correct.
Any further comments? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Stipp?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Mrs. Brown O'Hare?
Yes.
Dr. Huntington?
Yes.
Mr. Coffey?
Yes.
Action item H, approval of the long-range facility and master plan. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Questions or comments?
No question. I just want to thank Light and Company and Gilbane for giving us the presentation and taking the time to go through all that. I think it's really important to have a long-range plan, especially when you've got as many facilities as we do. You can't just be picking and choosing what you want to do in the dark. I think it's really good to have this long-term plan. It's got a good focus for the district for a long time.
Any additional comments?
Just that we appreciate how thorough, inclusive, all the time.
It's exciting. Roll call, please.
Mr. Coffey?
Abstain as I was not present for presentation.
Mrs. Stipp?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Mrs. Brown O'Hare?
Yes.
Dr. Huntington?
Yes.
Action item I, disposal of equipment. May I have a motion?
Second.
Questions, comments?
Just a comment, I think it's pretty interesting, most of the time under this section, it's like an old refrigerator or like a machine that's not working anymore. It's for the band uniforms at West, and seeing what we did with the central banding, we turned them into pillows and like a fundraiser. I just think it's kind of a cool thing that they're offering old band members now buying back, so some cool stuff to help promote school spirit, stuff. Really cool.
Roll call, please.
Dr. Huntington?
Yes.
Mr. Coffey?
Yes.
Mrs. Stipp?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Mrs. Brown O'Hare?
Yes.
item J, donations. May I have a motion?
So
Questions, comments?
I'd like to thank Community Services Council of Will County for donating over $1,700 for our MLK Day of Service event. That's an event that our district puts on every year, and probably the greatest things that we do. So very appreciative for members of the community helping out with that initiative. Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Guerrero Rivera?
Yes.
Dr. Huntington?
Yes.
Mr. Coffey?
Yes.
Mrs. Stitt?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn?
Action item K, recommendation for approval of full-time employee.
Second.
Questions, comments?
I'm assuming it's, full-time, EL position, is that district-wide, or is it just at one of the campuses?
So it's one FTE. We are and have, working with staff to first determine if we can do overloads, because they're discrete in these sections where it would be hard to find one person who can do the certification for everything. So it's actually at both campuses. And I would say in this area, we're continuing to see enrollment. So this is an area where I can see us coming back for additional FTE if needed.
Roll call.
Ms. Lynn? Mrs. Guerrero Rivera? Dr. Huntington?
Yes.
Mr. Coffey?
Yes.
Mrs. Stitt?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Action item L, personnel reports, 1 through 12. Have a motion. Questions, comments? Roll call.
Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn? Mrs. Guerrero Rivera?
Yes.
Dr. Huntington?
Yes.
Mr. Coffey?
Yes.
Mrs. Stitt?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
We'll now have student discipline recommendations.
After receiving and deliberating the information contained in the hearing officer's report, the Board of Education is charged with deciding, number one, whether or not a policy was violated. Number two, whether removing the child from his or her learning environment was in the best interest of the school. Number three, whether the specific duration of the recommended suspension was appropriate or other discipline should have been applied. Or number four, whether the continued presence in school would either A, pose a threat to safety of other students, staff, or members of the school community, or B, substantially disrupt, impede, or interfere with the operation of the school. The Board of Education must convene in a public session to formally vote on the motion to suspend if the suspension is the consensus arrived at during the executive session. I propose a motion for case number W232-4SH01, the suspension be upheld.
Roll call.
Mr. Kennedy?
Roll call.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Guerrero Rivera? Dr. Huntington? I'm sorry, I didn't hear
She said this.
you. Mr. Coffey?
Yes.
Mrs. Stitt?
Yes.
After receiving and deliberating the information contained in the hearing officer's report, the Board of Education is charged with deciding, number one, whether removing the child from his or her learning environment is in the best interest of the school. Number two, what the rationale is for the specific duration of the recommended expulsion. Number three, whether all appropriate and available behavioral and disciplinary interventions were exhausted. And number four, whether the continued presence in the school would either A, pose a threat to the safety of other students, staff, or members of the school community, or B, substantially disrupt, impede, or interfere with the operation of the school. The Board of Education must then convene in a public session to formally vote on the motion to expel if expulsion is the consensus arrived during the executive session. I propose a motion for case number C232401, recommend expulsion until June of 2024 in place of Lincoln School.
May I have a second? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Dick?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn? Yes. Mrs. Guerrero Mayor?
Yes.
Dr. Huntington?
Yeah.
Mr. Bobby?
Yes.
Line item 10, unfinished business. Number 11, new business. Number 12, are there any board reports?
First, anyone hasn't seen our ceiling before the week today, it's decorated and we already talked about the static here before last month. A lot of that's been decorated, Tuesday, decorated ceiling, stop hours, picture, chance, thank God for just again, the students, all of our staff, and students just JTHS sent the letter, love our students. Anyway, next, I just want to say a reminder that is, not just Hispanic Heritage Month, but it is also Awareness Month. Many of our students are impacted by violence, and violence is, it's a matter of power control. And a lot of violence begets violence. And one of the things that helps with that are trauma-informed services, trauma-informed education. And I'm just proud that we have it for years and we are continuing to incorporate trauma-informed services for our students and our staff and training. And just a reminder that this weekend is the Community Services 5K. It's the 9th of we're looking at the Veterans Center. And just any time we can go to events, go to various events, donating our time is important. Yeah, maybe having that. That's all the programs that we have.
Thank you. Are there any others?
Since our last meeting, I had the opportunity to continue to participate in the parent-student advisory committee, run by Martha and Salon. And that's at Julia Central on Tuesdays. And we are really unpacking some verbiage and words in the handbook as well as in word policy to make sure those things are aligned. In addition, I'm also attending the special ed advisory host week. And that was supposed to be on Tuesday, but we moved and will be tomorrow.
I am on the school day committee, and I'm really excited about the burden to the board. There's been a lot of work and great ideas, and I saw some presentations on what different school days may look like. Rob and I are on the collective committee. It's just very exciting to see all the possibilities that we may go moving forward and see the research of how much better it is for our students in all these different areas. So I'm very excited about your program and what we might be going.
I just want to thank all of you for taking time to serve on the committees. We get a lot of money for what we do, and so I was sorry.
That was a joke.
But just to add additional responsibilities to what we already do is so appreciative. So thank you, Julie.
I also had the opportunity to attend this morning the St. Francis State of the Union, so sort of the address and there and popped out. And I think that was a unique opportunity to take the board members and sit and discuss how the program services the university has and had to go and some notes myself and maybe I could transfer, get a different degree, but it was a nice opportunity to hear what the partnership and things that they're doing to support our students.
Thank you. Now at this time, we'll have public comment or announcements first. Any announcements? Okay, so at this time, members of the public may make comments to the Board of Education on any items concerning the district. Please note, this is not the opportunity or the venue for the Board of Education members to engage in a conversation or provide responses. The Board of Education respects and values the information delivered to us during this public comment. Your comments should be directed to the Board of Education, and all in attendance must conduct themselves with respect and civility towards others. You must conclude your comments in 3 minutes. Okay.
First person is Alicia Morales. Amy Sanchez.
Good evening, respected board members. Can everybody in the back hear me? Because it was a little difficult to hear everybody that came up to the mic. Thank you for the honor and privilege to come before you during public comments. I am here as a member of the community, as a Joliet Central alumni class of 97 Tech Prep. And I walk in this room with such pride because I remember immediately my freshman orientation in this room when Dean McLaughlin came in and had us read the statement listed above us. And then I remember immediately after that, our senior award ceremony in this very room, where I was awarded the Orlando Valley Hope Award for Community Spirit and School Spirit and Community. And I guarantee that I was not one of those AP students that you guys are so gracefully presented about. I was a student that was still finding their niche and finding their way. And the statement above reads, the foundation of every state is the education of its youth. And this educational institution was literally life-changing for me. So tonight I come before you to support the local AFC board because that person for me was Miss Barbara Jean Frazier. She was a secretary in the athletic office under Paul Maserati, and then I know I just said his last name wrong. Sorry. And then Don Corolla, and then moved over to the dean's office. And Barbara Frazier for me was the greatest educator to me to this day. She took us under her wings. Her student runners not only learned office etiquette and office basic 101, she did not accept anything less than the highest quality standard of her student office runners. And I got to witness all of that firsthand. I've had the honor and privilege to manage a property management facility, as well as a branch manager for a staffing industry when I hit a bump in the road. And now I have the privilege, I'm a program director that oversees multiple grants, as well as 10 part-time staff members and 5 full-time staff members, and several $1 million in budgets. And every single person that I've ever had the honor and privilege to manage has heard about property management in office at They know that they're going to get, whether they're volunteers for some of the community organizations that I bring the young folks under my belt, or it's somebody that I'm managing and overseeing, they hear about Barbara Jean Frazier and Office Etiquette 101. They know they need to answer the phone on the second ring. They know that they have to do legal stuff. And for me, Barbara Frazier was not just an educator, but a mentor. One of the interviews that I had one time, we had an upper management person ask us, who was the most important person in your abilities? And I was property manager at the time. I'm like, well, of course, my residents are. I managed a senior building. And they said, absolutely not. Your frontline staff is the most important person in the entire building. Because you cannot do everything your frontline staff can do. They are the first contact of all of the family members. They are the first line of defense if there's trouble coming. They are the person that you need the strongest, and they are the person that you need the bravest to engage with your residents every day. So I have lived to all with board members. The first line, the first people that come in contact with our students, our future of tomorrow, is our secretaries, is our paraprofessionals, security, and then some that go on and on. Teachers are very important, but for me, my connection is arbitration.
Can you wrap it up, please? I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am, I can. And I'm asking you to support, not just with a livable wage, but encourage and support them in their everyday lives, and as they're being that frontline defense for your students. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I ask you to fully support the contract in this matter. Thank you.
summary, honorable members of the board, just want to put out a public statement as it pertains to safety of everybody involved during these times of unrest overseas. We serve in the United States Marine Corps and understand first.
Thank you for your service.
I have here the writ of mandates. It's a legal document that a petition asks the court to order a public official or agency from their duties that they are legally obligated to do. So I'm proficient in this. So this would include everybody here. Performing your duties according to the law and the Constitution, good to go. For the people outside of this board here, they're in the township, I was going to give this to, but cooler heads prevailed, and this wasn't necessary. But I'm just letting everybody know that this is the power of the people, and I can put this, I can put any name I want, I can put it in the court, and you're going to have to do your job. Which I see you're all doing your job, not pointing fingers, just putting it out there for the public. We're concerned about how would you call it, perceived danger that may come through posing as immigration, whatever it is, okay? And I'm not against embracing immigrants, because I'm one, okay? I'm an Italian-American immigrant, 3 generations ago. I was born here because of that. Right now, we need to exercise caution. Thank you, board. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
I believe this says Brinkley James. And I'm sorry if I messed that up, I apologize.
I'm sorry, can you speak up?
And to have them all be that way, and went through it all, the secretary has been my constant support. The welcoming smile and willingness to assist have meant that I didn't think, whether it was helping throughout the school, answering my questions, or just I was here. But I knew someone possible, and then it's easy to overlook the work they do, but it's small things that make the biggest difference. Their patience, understanding, and dedication have been amazing during my toughest moment. So I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for always being the unsung heroes of my students who have made my life the biggest fulfillment. I'll always remember your kindness and support on the present happy work. To the wonderful candidates at the school, made a big difference in my life. I appreciate more than I've had in place. Because of the service secretary, I was able to cross the stage and pursue my confidence.
Thank you.
Next, we have Flora Herrera.
Can you repeat that name one more time?
Flora Herrera. Next would be Ronald Johnson. That's all.
Thank you. At this time, may I have a motion to go into closed session?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn? Mrs. Brown Blair?
Yes.
Dr. Huntington?
Yes.
Mr. Coffey?
Yes.
Mrs. Stick?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
We want to thank each and every one of you for attending our school board meeting this evening. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.